This is the evidence of free activity for the 10th grade bimester 2 for Hommik. English. Recently I got asked to make a video in English about any topic I wanted. The only thing was that, well, it needed to be in English. And of all the topics I could ever choose, I could choose to make a piano piece, or I could choose to explain how to cook potatoes, or I could explain anything I wanted. Out of all the topics I could have explained, I decided to explain the history of the world. In the beginning, God created everything, and among everything is the animals, man, the plants, and the sea. Everything got created by God, yet man is evil, and so he decided to leave God. Man has many children, and then he dies, and the cycle repeats with his children, and man's children had more children, and those children had more children until there were a lot of men. Man didn't know where to go or where to live, so he decided to live everywhere at once. He went from place to place and from cave to cave. However, soon he learned to live in cities. He soon learned to build houses. He discovered the tools, iron, copper, bronze, and soon society was created. This is what's called sedentarism. Soon houses and people started banding together. These were called villages, and soon villages began joining forces with other villages until they created cities, and cities began joining forces with other cities to create countries, and countries decided to get a ruler which they called king or emperor. This is where history begins as itself, and it's what we call the beginning of the ancient era. Assyria invaded Syria, then Egypt and Assyria waged war, then Babylon invaded Assyria, then Media got born, and then Persia invaded both Media and Babylon. The Persian Empire grew to be the largest nation on earth, only to be overthrown by some Greek peoples that called themselves the Macedonians. Then the king of Macedonia suddenly died when he was at the peak of the world, and suddenly all his generals decided to split his kingdom among them. Then, after they wage war against each other, Rome comes in. China and India develop beautiful cultures, while America just discovered itself. With so much sin, and so much murder, and so much death, God decides to send his son, Jesus, as a human, born as one of us, and then he healed a bunch of people, angered a bunch of others, those others killed him, and then he only resurrected at the third day. After he died, his followers create this new religion called Christianity. Rome still rules everyone for about 400 years, along with the Christians and everybody else, until the barbarians decide 400 years later that they got tired of Rome bullying them around and pillaged it. However, one part of Rome still survives, the Byzantine Empire. Cultures like the Roman and the Greek one are predominant in this age. The ancient era is marked by the thoughts of Greek philosophers, and all of the mythology from the Greeks and the Romans is very important to understand this era. Soon gets a powerful dynasty called the Han, until they decide to all die and become a great mess of civil wars. India happened something very similar with the Mauryans, and then they split the empire among each other and began killing each other. And after the Western Roman Empire got destroyed, all of those barbarians that worshipped many gods decided to adopt the same religion the Romans had. It is here with the fall of the Western Roman Empire that we enter the Middle Ages. Here we see the Pope take place, and he gets stronger. Now he gets his own state. He's like a little king. Out of those barbarians that destroyed the Roman Empire, new countries are created. The Franks create France, and the Holy Roman Empire, which way later would turn to be Austria and Prussia. The Ostrogoths create what we would know today as Italy, although it's for now very fragmented. The Saxons create what today we know as England. Meanwhile, the Visigoths are taking great hold of Spain, and were in their greatest moment of shine when, the followers of a guy called Mahoma decided to suddenly invade Spain. Well, as it turns out, a may or may not self-proclaimed prophet from God was born in Arabia, and he decided to get a bunch of followers. Then all those followers got almost killed, but he only came back with a great army. With this great army, he conquered all of Arabia, and then attacked the Byzantine Empire and Sassanid Empire, which were very weak from killing each other. he created a new religion today we call Islam. Then he got very old and died, so he left a successor, and this successor then went to, well, conquer Spain and then kill all of his brothers, and then all of his brothers would kill him, and there would be a great civil war in the Islam. And the Pope gets very mad at the Islamists because they just took Jerusalem, so he decides to order the first of about 13 crusades, which were campaigns against the Arabs where Christians and Islam would fight for the supremacy of the Holy Land. Castile just was able to expel the Moors from its territory, and now it's married to Aragon, and together they have a beautiful child called Spain. Then a guy shows up to the king and queen of Spain, and he says that, well, if he can get around the globe, he can get a lot of money off the trade of spices. The kings agree to found his expedition, and boom, he discovered, oh, America was already discovered. Well, there was more people, we can just slave him, right? Oh, and the Ottomans destroyed the Byzantine Empire. It is here that the modern age starts. A guy in Germany just invented a machine that can write very fast, not like before that you had to write with your hand. His name is Gutenberg, and his invention's name is the printing press. Then a monk from also Germany gets very mad because he sees a lot of monks take some money from poor innocent people. So he decides to make 94 reasons why the church is wrong, and he decides to post them in a cathedral. Then everyone makes a whole scandal about that until it reaches the Pope. The Pope and him get very mad until he tries to escape from the Pope trying to kill him. The Pope and Martin Luther get very mad at each other, so they decide to get their armies and kill each other for 30 years straight. In the Pope's side we have the Spanish Empire and its allies, and on the other side we have everyone else that didn't like Spain. Soon more and more nations became more and more powerful. England and France now had colonies in America as well. The Dutch had a great naval empire of trade. Oh, and Africa, they just became everyone's slaves resource depot. So far, everyone has been ruled by kings or emperors. In every part of the world, there hasn't been any other type of government, until the French citizens got very tired of their expenses and they decided to cut their necks. Then everyone goes to kick France's ass until a short man with a funny hat showed up and helped France and beat everyone else. And then he got beaten himself and was exiled to a small island in the Atlantic. Very soon more revolutions would show up in other places, and soon the kings were getting overthrown everywhere. This is where the contemporary era starts. People that worked in small villages now move to cities. Villages become factories. And countries are getting much, much stronger. Britain just became the first power in the world, followed by jealous France, until Prussia decided to make a war with Austria, and when it won, it was able to rival all of the German states and create the new country, Germany. Italy did something very similar. There is a science boom, a city boom, a society boom, a slavery boom, and colonialism. America is born as well. I forgot saying that in the French Revolution. But yeah, they also got a revolution of their own against the British, and that would inspire many of the Spanish colonies to do the same. An old man and his old friend decide that all of this capitalism and all of this inequality should stop. So they write a paper, they post it just like Martin Luther did one day, and they create communism. Oh, and they also say that all the capitalists should be purged. Now, here is the time where science gets very, very important, because everyone stopped using this and began using this. Now, the great superpowers, Britain, France, Germany, Austria and Russia, had guns, and they decided to see which one had the better gun. So the result was World War I, and 40 million people died. A bold, ugly man decided to go to Russia, and, well, after reading what Marx did and said that had to be done with communist societies, he decided to try that out. And he killed even more millions of people. But he also created the Soviet Union, although he wouldn't live to see it. The one who would live to see it was his colleague, Stalin. after World War I, America and its friends who were the winners decided that war was bad and that 40 million people dying was not a normal thing in such a great war. So they decided to tax Germany so much with so much heavy reparations that they wouldn't be able to recover. Result, they recovered and they got into World War II. And so Japan didn't want to surrender, so America used, well, you know. With new technology and science advances at great steps, people stopped using these and begin using these. Now, America and the Soviet Union are the ones that most nuclear bombs have, so they decided that they would nuke each other to see who's... Okay, yeah, they did not decide that, that's why we are alive here. So the Soviet Union decided to die under its own weight and get dissolved in many countries. Now guys, I know this video has been very bad and the story has had so much issues. However, I think it's a good proof that my English is fine. And I will probably do a better version in the future. So who knows? I might be back. And as it couldn't be in another different way, I have to say goodbye to you with the only way that could be possible. By the way, God, since he saw so much murder and violence and so many people dying at the same time, got very tired of the same situation. So he decided to save everyone that believed in Jesus and kidnap them to heaven. Everyone else stayed on Earth and waited until the sun turned a red dwarf and consumed Earth entirely. And so Earth got roasted by the sun and everyone died happily after.